The Taliban, determined to remain faithful to Islamic law, celebrated the third anniversary of their reconquest of Afghanistan on Wednesday, August 14, 2024 with a military parade through the former U.S. military base. The military procession took place for over an hour in the former American base at Bagram, the former center of the fight against the Taliban insurgency, some 5 kilometers from Kabul, in the presence of high-ranking Taliban leaders. The procession of dozens of military vehicles of Soviet origin or recovered by the Taliban from American and Afghan forces during their lightning victory 3 years ago was overflown by a ballet of helicopters and fighter jets. A long line of Soviet BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launchers, ZIL-135 trucks, and troop carriers paraded past the flower-filled stands, and among the hundreds of guests were a few Chinese and Iranian diplomats. The parade was accompanied by heavy mobile artillery and Soviet T-54 tanks. The Taliban were also represented by turbaned motorcyclists, carrying the famous yellow canisters with which they have carried out numerous deadly explosive attacks during their long insurgency. Afghan Prime Minister Mohammad Hassan Akhund vowed to remain faithful to Islamic law in a message read out to the audience. Our leaders must be mindful of the fact that our duties did not cease with jihad, holy war. We now have a responsibility to stay the course of Islamic law, he declared. On August 15, 2021, the Taliban entered Kabul without resistance, leading to the flight of the government and the collapse of the US-led Western coalition that had ousted them from power 20 years earlier. According to the Afghan calendar, this anniversary is celebrated a day early. The festivities then moved to Kabul's Ghazi Stadium, where hundreds of men in white caps and T-shirts performed combat sports and cycling. Autonomy brings joy to the people, said Khalid Hotak, a 30-year-old practitioner of the martial art Wushu. Safety is present. This is freedom. No women were present at the celebrations. Over the past 3 years, the Taliban has stepped up its repressive measures against women, severely restricting their access to work and education. 3 years have passed since the girls' dreams were buried, said Madina, a 20-year-old Afghan who had to leave university. In Kabul, whose avenues and traffic circles were decorated with thousands of large white and black Islamic Emirate flags, crowds of men celebrated the anniversary in jubilation. The area around the U.S. Embassy was clogged with traffic jams, as PIC-UPS overloaded with Taliban and flags tried to make their way amid loud honking. Some were riding up to 4 on a motorcycle, Emirate flags flying in the wind. PIC-UPS were full of young boys with their armed Taliban fathers. Some children wore headbands with the message, Sharia or martyrdom. Thousands of Afghans had been invited to the capital from half a dozen central provinces for this Victory Day, declared a public holiday. But on social networks, many people were questioning the spontaneity of the celebration. Internet users claimed that entire schools had been forced to take part in the festivities. Numerous members of the security forces crisscrossed the capital, clinging to pickup trucks, headbands around their foreheads and Kalashnikovs or other automatic rifles in their hands. Security forces were mobilized en masse, as the main risk seemed to be a new attack by the jihadist group Islamic State, following the one that killed one person in a Shiite district of Kabul last Sunday. After 3 years of Taliban rule, while security now prevails overall, Afghanistan is grappling with anemic growth, massive unemployment, and a serious humanitarian crisis. For Human Rights Watch, this anniversary is a somber reminder of the human rights crisis in Afghanistan. UN Human Rights Rapporteur for Afghanistan, Richard Bennett, joined a statement by 29 other human rights experts urging the international community not to trivialize the de facto authorities or their appalling human rights abuses. The Taliban government is still not recognized by any country. But Kabul has made diplomatic gains by forging relations with neighboring countries, as well as China and Russia, and opened a dialogue with the West by participating in the Doha talks for the first time in June.